Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and in tonight's video we're going to be making a reclaimed coffee table. I start this project by planing two flat surfaces on these old newel posts to ensure the glue has a decent surface area to grab onto. Now I put a healthy lathering of glue onto each spindle to eventually create a board. The technical term for what I'm doing is called lamination, but that's not really important. What is important is what I'm gluing now is the legs. Now with this, instead of attaching them all together, you want to leave little gaps between them so you don't end up with quite a long fat leg. Bit like I've got if anything, but we'll ignore that fact and carry on.
One eternity later.
After waiting 24 hours for the glue to properly harden and set, I then declamp everything and get it ready for the second stage of gluing.
Meanwhile,
And after many days of gluing and planing, I can now begin to cut the joinery. Now if you haven't guessed from my terrible marking out, I am cutting a mortise and tenon. But it's not just a normal mortise and tenon, it's a stub mortise, which in other words it's just, well, stubby. It's a bit shorter and it doesn't go all the way through the wood, so it should give it a bit more of a modern, but it's also still quite traditional. I haven't got the world's nicest chisels, and to be honest, they could be a hell of a lot sharper, but they do the job well for trimming and chopping, so I guess they're just doing the job as they're intended to. Anyway, I like them. But at the moment, I'm just tidying some bits up where I haven't been very accurate with my saw, so I'm just tidying it up a bit. But as usual with woodworking and all that shizzle, there's always a more accurate and quicker way of doing it, and it usually involves a power tool. I didn't do. I nearly cut all the way through that. I didn't set the depth because I am a huge idiot. I take that off. In my fucking way.
20 minutes later.
I just thought this looked really neat after I've cut it with my saw. Anyway, somewhere in there is my tenon, and I'm gonna find that bastard, and I'm going to seat it in a block of wood. That makes no sense. Forgot the essentials. All the rest is annoying. Once I had finished complaining about modern music and how much I dislike it, I then begin to break the grain so I can start cutting out my mortise. Now there's only really a few reasons why you want to break the grain first. This will ensure that you don't start pulling your hair out when it decides to chip and peel, and it also helps with keeping the chisel nice and straight and keeping the square hole, either one works, nice and square. No, what? Square hole square? Same difference, I don't care. This technique is called fish scaling, and it allows you to make very small cuts with a chisel and eventually make your way into the timber. And slowly but surely you begin to create something that looks like a stub mortise. Here I'm just checking the general size of my hole just to make sure it somewhat seats the tenant and I've got somewhere close to the sizes I need. Now keen-eyed viewers will see the tenant is too long. I did this for a few reasons, but one very simple reason, it makes it so I don't have to faff about getting the exact size I want, but I can just measure it. Now just then you saw me using a cocktail stick to put into the hole, mark it with the pencil, and this gives me the depth I need for the hole basically, and then I can mark it out fully on the tenant, square it off, cut it off, and that thing will fit like a beauty. Here's one I did earlier.
Attention please, attention please. We got big new news.
A mom with 2 daughters.
You could be a lifesaver. Act now. Add your name and decision to the NHS Organ Donor Register. Search
Sexy.
organ donation.
I experimented with a piece of scrap wood just to see how burning it would improve the way it looks, and I think I went a little bit overboard with it.